Folks, welcome to day one of 2022. It's time to get those New Year's resolutions in gear. And you know what? Maybe enjoy some college football along the way. But we said it. It's day one of 2022, and that's what we're here to break down. Day one, WWE's pay-per-view here on the show where it's not wrestling with your budget. It's not wrestling with your conscience. It's wrestling with emotion. So let's get our panel in here. Of course, you know him from our Bullet Points broadcast, everything across the board, Mr. Rob Ryan. We got him on the West Coast. We're lucky to get this guy flying in, get these expert intel from Ernie Green. And of course, the loyalist, the one who acknowledges him, the WWE's flag bearer, McAdoodoo. How are we doing today, folks? How are we feeling in this start to 2022?
It's a great time to be alive.
I couldn't agree more.
Really.
Well, I agree with the first part, not the second part.
We have amazing stuff on today. Not only do we have day one, we have the bowl games, the Winter Classic. It's a big day. Here we go.
It's an absolutely packed day. I hope I'm not too overwhelmed by the time the WWE pay-per-view action gets here. But with that said, as we always do on Wrestling with Emotion show, what is our favorite storyline across pro wrestling right now? Let's go around the horn. Rob, Ernie, and then McAdoo.
I'm liking the whole. It hasn't really started yet, but it's coming in. You could tell that it's coming in AEW. Is that the Undisputed Era versus the Elite? You see once why am I blanking? Once for the Elite, what's his name? Why am I blanking?
O'Reilly, Fishman,
Omega. Once Omega comes back, you're gonna see him and Cole start butting heads, and that's when you're really going to start seeing Undisputed Era versus the Elite, and I think those are going to be great matches.
Yeah, they'll be great matches. I think my favorite thing right now is that it's not really started yet either, but I'm just intrigued about if they're going to have, the top four on Raw kind of hang out and feud together for, in theory, they should feud for 12 to 18 months and bounce off each other like the SmackDown 6 did back in the day. And, between Lashley and Owens and Rollins and Big E, and I'd like to see them, be able to work together for a long time because I think that's a feud that people can invest in between four very, very good professional wrestlers. And I think that can really, move Raw up again.
I'm going to piggyback off what Ernie said. I mean, how can you not? These are probably four of the top 10 guys. And they're at least half of them are top five. In Rollins and KO, no disrespect to the other two, and Big E and Bobby Lashley, but those guys you can build a storyline around, and they have proved it time and time again, and they can carry a show like we have seen.
Okay. I give credit to all of what you guys have said, and it was at the top of my mind. I was going to go Undisputed Era versus the Elite for sure for mine if I had the option. So what I'll say, and I've noted this a couple times in our chat, is just the willingness of AEW to do things that I would never see on WWE TV, whether it's Cody Rhodes going through a flaming table, and again, this is free TV, or last night with the bunny absolutely laying her body on the line, going through tacks off the top rope and all kinds of stuff like that. So, say what you want about Tony Khan, probably not the best demeanor on social media for an owner, but with that said, AEW as a product continues to surpass my expectations. And speaking of expectations, here are our numbers going into our picks series. So surprisingly, I think Ernie has been going against his logic too much because I think if he just played it, pretty par for the course, he'd probably be at the top. But I'm leading the way with 72%, McAdoo with a nice 69%, and Rob with 68%. So it'll be interesting to see who shovels. Any thoughts on this or day one before we get into our prediction series, gents?
I just hope for a good pay-per-view. The last few have not been living up to standards.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there hasn't been there's been very, very few start to finish pay-per-views that have been good in either company in the past year. So, in my opinion, so I like to see one like that. I don't have my hopes up though. I'm not gonna lie.
Me neither.
I'm just ready to get other picks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ready to get on to the picks. Okay, so let's get on to it. So obviously, myself, McAdoo, and Rob Ryan very close in the, again, percentages here, and Ernie with a little ground to make up. So let's see. Not that far behind, though, truthfully. So first, we got the pre-show, And I mean, if you want to talk about I have no problem, Ernie, with like what you said about having these top 4 guys on Raw feud for the next 18 months would not bother me one bit. But the fact that we're still getting Cesaro versus Sheamus in some form in WWE TV after 3 to 5 years now, it's a little bit crazy to me. But we got the tag team match here set for the pre-show. Let's bring it around the horn here. Who you guys got? Cesaro and Ricochet versus Ridge Holland and Sheamus.
No need for really explanations for this one. This is a kickoff show. I'm going with Cesaro and Ricochet.
Yeah, I agree. Usually the kickoff show, the fan favorites win the kickoff show match anyway, so I'm gonna go with them too.
Cesaro, Ricochet. What more can you say?
Cesaro and Ricochet. No reason to have them not. I am tempted because it's probably a 60-40 proposition to go the other way just because I can gain a pick on everybody. But I like Cesaro and Ricochet, like you guys said, crowd favorites. Get it done in this pre-show match and move on. Yeah, not much to talk about. Unfortunately, when you're on the pre-show, there's a reason you're on the pre-show. It's not the WrestleMania pre-show. It's day 1 pre-show. We are talking day 1 here on the Wrestling with Emotion show. And we're talking the tag team championships. We got a pretty endearing tag team, RK Bro. They've definitely surpassed what anyone could have thought when these two teamed up. Randy Orton and Riddle facing the Street Profits. I'll kick this one off, and then let's go reverse order on this round. But with that said, tag team picture a little stale in the Raw and SmackDown scene. I mean, it's basically if New Day or Street Profits or the Usos aren't facing somebody, it's like, what the hell is going on? So I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, you had AJ Styles and Omos kind of picking up that slack recently, but with the fact that they're broken up, I mean, Commander Aziz and Apollo Crews doesn't look like anything's going on there. So with that said, and again, this show is probably going to be me ranting a little bit about the WWE. I get it out of the way so Ernie doesn't have to. With that said, I got Randy Orton and Riddle retaining. I mean, if you're going to have these guys go in a future match, which is WWE's recipe most of the time, you got to wait a little bit longer. These guys are still too hot. I got Randy Orton and Riddle. McAdoo?
Oh, I forgot we're going on opposite. I think it's Orton and Riddle because I don't see them having a match at Royal Rumble, like you said. They're going to end up having a match later on down the road, and it'd be stupid to have them in a match at Royal Rumble and then do the match itself. So yeah, RK Bro, we'll take this one.
Yeah, I mean, if this was the Royal Rumble itself, I might pick the Street Profits because that would kick off the Mania season. I think they're going to have a match, but not quite yet. I think tonight RK Bro is going to win. Yeah,
I'd love to choose the Street Profits just to get my percentages up, and you guys go down if it's the opposite. But I'm going to go with the crowd, and I'm going to go RK Bro also. It's not one of those pay-per-views where you'll see too many title changes.
Okay. I agree. And speaking of changes of opinion, I know I alluded to it at the beginning of the show, but I want to put him on the spot right now. McAdoo, has your WWE loyalty ever been lower than it is right now? I feel like we've sensed a little frustration in the chats over the last couple weeks.
Frustration? Hell, I've barely even seen it ever since I forget what pissed me off so much. It might have been Survivor Series, to be honest with you, but it's been more. I've been paying attention more to hockey and NFL, which NFL is almost done here with Monday nights. But yeah, the frustration started to build a little bit with me, and Vince has to do something tonight.
All right, well, they're going to come with that road to WrestleMania right when the Super Bowl's out, so that'll be interesting if the WWE can recapture McAdoo's heart. But he's still all the way in. That's the thing. So we'll see. But speaking of all the way in, I hate to say it, guys, I could not be all the way more out on Madcap Moss versus Drew McIntyre. I don't know what we're trying to do here. I don't know if it's trying to build up Madcap Moss as someone that they build and see as a superstar. I'm very puzzled, so that's why I want to get your guys' takes on the situation. What are they trying to accomplish here, and what do you see happening? Let's start with you, Rob.
I have no idea. It's like McIntyre says he carried this company through the beginning of the pandemic, and he's gotten nothing since. You've gotten matches against Madcap Moss. You've gotten matches against what's his name, the who broke his sword. No, they broke the sword. The really why am I the Marge whatever, screw it. He's got
Commander
matches.
Aziz?
Yeah, he's got a matches, but he's got a matches all against these lower competition. And I don't know if it's him telling this company, let's do these kind of matches to build up the lower guys, or if it's the company screwing him, but he has to get in that picture soon with, like you were saying, the top 4 eventually. I just don't know why they're doing this to Drew McIntyre. I wouldn't be shocked if he's the next one to leave, if it's not his say doing this, but I'm going to go with McIntyre on this one.
I'm going to go with McIntyre too. And to piggyback what you just said, a friend of mine went to the house show in Buffalo the other day, and he said that McIntyre completely carried the house show, and he was insanely over with the crowd. And what they've done with him after he lost the belt, when he completely carried the company, like you said, is insane, because how over he was when he kicked Lesnar out of the Rumble, and the crowd just went absolutely berserk. And they go from that to what they're doing with him now. And also Madcap Moss. I mean, I know when I went to a couple NXT house shows back in the day, and he had a really, fun tag team with Tino Sabatelli, whatever his name was, who's not in the company anymore. But the guy has potential, and this is not tapping into his potential, in my opinion. So I'm picking McIntyre, and with also expressing my frustration that, again, they screwed somebody up.
If McIntyre loses this match, he loses all main event credibility, right? That's what it comes down to. There's no way he loses this match.
Send it to
the blood bank.
All right, I'm going to go McIntyre as well. I am worried about the angle that McIntyre might be like working to get people over or something, because just him being versus Madcap Moss doesn't make any sense unless he's being kept on deck for a Royal Rumble championship match, or he's being kept on deck for something on the way to WrestleMania for a potential championship match there. But yes, very puzzling. McIntyre can definitely do a lot more with than a Madcap Moss match to start 2022. But speaking of someone who's on their way up and definitely could be getting a push, we got Liv Morgan playing the role of the face versus Becky Lynch as the heel. Ernie, how much do you hate the fact that these roles should be reversed based on the characters?
You know what? I agree 100%. And they should, if there was ever a time in WWE to do a double turn, similar to like Austin and Hart or Jake the Snake and Honky Tonk Man before that, I'm probably the only person who remembers that here. And Powers of Pain Demolition, if there was ever a time to do a double turn, it's right now, to be honest with you. And didn't Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler do a double turn at some point? Like
they did. I remember wasn't Austin Hart at WrestleMania 14 a double turn? Sorry, yeah,
correct.
That's
so modern
the
times,
one that I always hear reference. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it's Liv Morgan can get over so much more as a heel, and Becky Lynch, when that music hits, you're just not going to get boos. You're not going to get boos. You're not going to get anybody pissed. You're not going to get anybody booing her based on the fact that she's acting extravagant and ridiculous. And speaking of extravagant and ridiculous, let's get him in here. Ty Bizzler, happy day one of 2022.
It is the first day of 2022. I will not be watching day one. That's because GCW will be having their own pay-per-view. Sorry, guys.
By the way, is that the shirt you rocked last night? That's a hell of a shirt you're rocking right now.
I didn't go anywhere, so I just threw it on when I woke up.
I was gonna say if you went out last night and rocked that shirt, kudos to you, my friend. Yeah,
very fair. Well, hey, let's not muster it around. Let's play a little catch up here, though. Ty B, you just got in. Let's get your picks locked in here, real quick, rapid fire. Cesaro and Ricochet versus Ridge Holland and Sheamus.
Ooh. Give me let Rick, please free Ricochet. I saw some highlights of him from I think it was Shakara, like 2005, 2006, like somewhere around then, and he was just doing like the craziest shit I've ever seen. I'm like, free Ricochet, please. I hope he wins.
WWE needs to let Ricochet cook. I think we all agree on that.
He does some crazy stuff, and I don't know. Give me RK Bro in this one.
Okay, RK Bro.
There's no build up to it. No, nothing.
They're not very much build up. And speaking of not very much build up, even though they have been feuding a little bit, McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. You see an upset here?
I've never seen Madcap Moss in a ring actually wrestling. So no, I'll go with McIntyre.
Okay, and we're up to date now. So we're talking Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. But yeah, it just seems like both these characters are kind of out of whack with the fact that it should be reversed. But let's go around the horn here. Let's start with Ty B. Tybee, who you got for Becky Lynch looking to retain her championship here on day 1 of 2022 versus Liv Morgan?
I feel bad for Liv Morgan here being put in this spot because everyone knows she's not winning the title from Becky. The WWE loves Becky way too much. They've kind of slow built Liv to this moment the entire time. But every step of the way, it feels like they keep taking, the steps out from under her feet, and she's just kind of falling and having to restart over and over again. There was a time where she was off TV for like a month or two. She, dyed her hair, did all this stuff to get ready to come back, does like one little spot, and then they're like, oh yeah, we don't have anything for you again. Like it's kind of baffling with the roster they had that they can't find matches and feuds for some of these women to really highlight themselves. And I think that's part of the reason why we just saw Toni Storm want to leave the company. I'm not going to dive deeper into it than that. I think Liv should be a bigger star. Not the best on the mic yet, but she's really come a long way in the ring. And just presentation-wise, she's exactly what you want to present towards children, I think, with a young, like, punky person. But it's going to be Becky that gets the win.
Robert?
Yeah, see, it's one of these weird matches where I think they're putting Liv in these kind of situations with Becky to have her grow until the Royal Rumble, where I think that's where Liv gets her time to shine. But for this one, it's going to be Becky.
What should happen is the aforementioned double turn where Liv wins the match and turns heel, and Becky becomes a babyface and chases until WrestleMania, where she wins. But that would require like the most basic of knowledge, the basic of logic, which WWE does not have. So
that's a lot of booking, Ernie.
Well, it really isn't. But
I don't know if they can do it.
It is for them.
One night of booking for a turn, that's tough.
Yeah, well,
I don't think Vince got it in his pen anymore.
If WWE was in charge of Game of Thrones, it would just be King's Landing and nothing else.
Yeah, well, so to say, so Ty, as I'm finishing my thought here, I agree 100% with you. That requires too much thought by them. So I'm thinking Becky at the same Becky match that she's had for the past 6 months since she came back, and it has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with the poor booking.
I'm so over Becky. She needs to drop the title so much. I'm going to be rooting like hell for Liv here, but I know she's probably not going to win. I'm taking Becky here, unfortunately. But for the love of God, get the title off of Becky. That's all I ask.
Do you not acknowledge the man?
No, the man is
you.
The man.
That's
you
the
guys
bunny.
always, like I said this last time, you guys always complain to me about how long Roman's had the belt. Becky's had it every single day she's been active since WrestleMania 35.
Yeah, it's bad. Becky has been on it. Becky is almost the new, you had the classic promo where CM Punk said John Cena has become what he hated the most, the New York Yankees. In a way, Becky Lynch has become the new Charlotte Flair of WWE, where it's just she always has the championship. She can't lose to anybody. There's never any adversity. What do you got, McIndoe?
The difference there is Becky knows how to keep the championship. Charlotte loses it like a month later.
Oh,
That's very fair.
And that's me saying it
fair.
as a Charlotte fan more than because I can't stand Becky anymore.
All right, that's very fair. Speaking of not being able to stand, so I got Becky as well. Let's wait. Who? You guys hear that music?
Oh, by God!
It's Dwayne O'Mania.
What's
Dwayne,
up, guys?
welcome
Long
to day
time no
one
see.
of 2022.
Yeah, this is a big day for WWE. You really got to set the tone today, right? Like, this is the start of a new year. Close the book on the previous and try and start 2022 off with a bang. And don't have a lot of faith in it, but we'll see.
We've all been taking our pop shots so far. So not to sound crazy, but does anyone honestly raise your hand on this panel right now? Expect WWE to come out firing and put on a fire show on this day one of 2022.
I think they're going to try, but they have no idea what that entails right now.
Yeah, they need it, but
Okay, because it just felt like we all agree Survivor Series was a miss.
100%.
Like we were expecting big things out of Survivor Series. You had Big E versus Roman. You had, Nakamura versus Priest, which ended in bullshit. You had Becky Lynch versus Flair, which ended in other bullshit. They didn't get much done. There was no storytelling. And I think back to Crown Jewel and just again, I'm seeing
Crown
Brock
Jewel was
versus
good.
Reigns. Crown Jewel was good. but I'm seeing Brock versus Reigns again, and it's like this story is building towards WrestleMania again. What is just happening in this WWE sphere? It's like you said, Ernie. It's almost like they want to get out of it, but they don't know how to.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, nothing more to say about that. Let's get this moving on. We got the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And again, I mean, two teams that are probably destined to fight for like the rest of wrestling history. Obviously, you have the Usos, the ones. So how much ones are we going to be getting in this day one pay-per-view, by the way?
Way too many.
Okay, wait a minute. We got the Usos, the ones, versus the New Day. So again, you want to talk about a match that they've been having for years. This is a perfect example. By the way, shout out to everybody tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch on this day one of 2022. Super hungover. Let's get it started, though, with Dwayne-O-Mania and go around the horn here. McAdoo, Ernie, Rob, Ty B. Who do you got when the Usos face off against the New Day?
I think the Bloodline, just today is all, not to foreshadow my main event prediction, but I think the Bloodline takes a huge hit today. And I think the New Day wins the tag team gold today. I think today is going to be a really bad day for the Bloodline.
I have to agree to the first part of that because I think the New Day wins. I think they're going to have one last tag team run before they try to push King Woods because he absolutely deserves a push now. I mean, you crown him king, you have to give him a singles run at some point. You can't just keep him in a tag team. But then again, it's WWE. So, as you guys say, they know how to mess it up a lot.
Yeah, of all the things that they could do right, is have them those two guys wrestle as much as they want because they have great matches every single time they wrestle each other, and it never gets stale. I mean, they've been wrestling probably 4 years now, and it never gets stale. So that's the one thing they could do that actually would be okay to have them, intertwine more. I mean, the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express wrestled for like 40 years against each other, and it never got stale. So I'm not saying they're that caliber. They're not that caliber because nobody is. But I'm just saying if you have a good thing, just stick with it. Today I picked the. I'm going to pick the New Day. I don't know why, but I'm going to pick the New Day.
Yeah. I think it's what like Dwayne was saying. The Bloodline. It's not going to be a good 2022. You saw the end of 2021. Paul Heyman leaving. We'll tell that later. But that's just not a good year to be in the table. So I'm going New Day.
Yeah, I think at some point here you have to start the unraveling a little bit of Reigns. We saw, him getting rid of Heyman, but something else is going to have to happen to start matriculating towards WrestleMania to give whatever story they're going to tell something to it. If the Usos lose the title and he gets pissed at them, like that gives him something to do for the next month or two. Plus, it's to the New Day, which could lead to more with Big E and everything else. So. Maybe WWE does something well with it. I think New Day wins.
Okay, so we got 5 New Day picks. I got to take advantage. I got to go Usos. I think it's close to a 50-50 shot. I agree with what you guys are saying. The downfall has to come on the table at some point, and it likely will be on the road to WrestleMania. But I think they can kind of stave it off for another event. Again, I don't know who they'll put the tag team titles on at that point, but I'm going to take the Usos in an effort to gain a match. By the way, I was just thinking, because we're talking about long-term booking for WWE, has there ever been better long-term booking than when New Day were in the gauntlet match for Kofi to get to WrestleMania and the Usos refused to fight the New Day because they knew it was, like, unfair? Like, they were the 4th team in the gauntlet and they just, like, forfeit? I mean, is that the best WWE storytelling in the last 5 years?
Has to be.
On the men's side, absolutely. At least continuity wise, that hey, they actually did something that made sense for once. I agree.
Seriously,
and once in a while they bring it up still.
They do,
which is crazy. They usually forget about everything.
Who can forget that freestyle rap off hosted by Wale too? That was pretty classic. So I'll give these teams credit. They've basically been keeping Vince McMahon afloat over these last 5 years. Oh, we got some comment. Oh no, we got spam comments. But spam comments, I got a question for you guys. Was the brood bath always a thing back in the day? I feel like I don't remember like many brood baths back in the day. But apparently Edge is back with the brood bath. He uses it on Miz and Maurice this past week. So we got Edge versus The Miz. I'm going to kick this one off. I don't know if you can hear the emergency services going on day one, but I am actually worried. I am worried for Edge. I think that potentially when you look at the way that I'm going with the Ernie Green mentality here. When you look at the way
don't ever do that.
When you look at the way that WWE works, they like to build towards something else. And what they've been doing is mentioning Beth Phoenix a lot on the broadcast lately. And I feel like we could be trajectorying towards a Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Maurice at like a future WrestleMania. So with that said, and that recipe in mind, I am going to go with The Miz through some Maurice shenanigans tonight at day one. What do you got, Ty B?
Yeah, I don't really know what they're doing with Edge right now. Bringing him back to, feud with The Miz now is just kind of feels like it's beneath him, and all that luster is kind of off of his return now at this point, and it's just like he's just another WWE guy. Whereas I think Christian's still kind of doing things over there in AEW that's keeping him somewhat relevant, even though he did that little Impact run. Like, they still got him with some young guys, and he's helping bring some young guys along. Instead, you put Edge versus The Miz. The Miz is already a made man. We've seen them call some people up, but most of them have all gotten released, so there aren't really any young talent to work with. So I guess I can't criticize Edge for that. I don't care who wins. I don't think it matters for either of them or their careers. I think Maniac might be right in it just extending a feud, but I don't know. I'll just go with Edge just because I like him more. Who cares?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Maniac was saying. I was going to say the exact same thing. You're going to see an interference with Maurice like you used to see back when Maurice was with Miz a couple years ago. She interferes somehow. Miz wins and the feud continues. And then I'm going to assume you're going to see Beth show up on Monday night at Raw to start the whole feud with her. Unless they wait another pay-per-view, they do another Miz versus Edge, and like you said, Maniac, you keep it to Mania to do the tag team. But I'm going with Miz on this one.
I'm going with Miz also, and the reason being is I don't think he's long for the wrestling business, to be honest with you. I would not be surprised if WrestleMania was his last match. He's got so many Hollywood commitments right now, and he's doing a good job there, and he's up there in years. And talking about the whole Hall of Fame talk on Raw and whatnot, I don't think he's long for the wrestling business. I think this is going to be his final feud, culminating in WrestleMania, where that mixed tag team match, where Edge and Beth Phoenix are going to clearly win. But I think it starts tonight with The Miz winning and kickstarting that feud.
And it's really sad because, just sorry, McAdoo, to cut you off, but the Money in the Bank is like the most iconic thing WWE has had going for the last 10 years. But because of the shit show of the last year, you kind of forget about Miz's cash-in on McIntyre and the fact that he actually was champion in the past year. And again, that's nobody else's but WWE's fault. But just sad because, like you said, this could be maybe the twilight of his career, and you kind of forget in the last year he was the WWE champion.
Yeah, but for what, like 3 weeks or something like that?
It was a day, I think.
I think
Bobby lost it. Yeah,
or a cup of tea. Cup of tea.
8 days, you said?
He ran away. Yeah, he ran away the first time when he was going to defend it, and then they made him defend it on the next show. Yeah. So, I don't know. Who knows?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, no comment on that. Anyways, yeah, I had Edge written down on my sheet here, and then you guys have just now convinced me to go Miz. I think there's something there with doing a mixed tag team match. I think Maurice is going to get involved here. Maybe Edge eliminates Miz at Royal Rumble, and it's going to set up the feud that we get here for going towards WrestleMania. But yeah, I'll go Miz.
I'll agree with Miz for the same reasons of bringing in Beth Phoenix back into the fold. A Hall of Famer, one of the more athletic and premier female wrestlers of her time. But I'm a huge Miz fan, and I actually kind of expect a lot out of this match in terms of entertainment value, not as in terms of the wrestling, because of Miz's ability to build long-term storyline. I remember when Miz and Cena were feuding, and you remember the promos he did, the House of Cena, the rules of Cena, and all of that jazz, and all led up to, in my opinion, WWE botching that whole thing, and John Cena proposing to Nikki Bella in the middle of the ring, which I thought was stupid. But
on a side note,
whole...
a funnier proposal though, Sammy Guevara proposing just months ago to his fiance, and now they broke up, and now he's dating Ty Conti. It's even funnier.
Yeah, very funny. Very
crazy shit.
Fucking hilarious.
Just another example of AEW keeping the storylines moving.
Yeah, I like I said, I think Biz, in terms of like entertainment value, cutting promos and storyline building, I think he's one of the best in the business. I personally don't think this is his last run. I think he might have one more title run, whether it's a WWE title run or an Intercontinental title run. Just because I think WWE still needs a guy like him around because of that entertainment value. Just my opinion. I agree. Miz for sure wins this in some little botch ending, and it leads to a mixed tag match.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if he went back and just did one more one more of those challenge episodes. Go back to his real world days before he calls it a career.
Yeah,
he was way better in those.
He should go back to Real World Miz for his final you can hate me now, but I won't stop now. The ultimate promo. And speaking of promos, I mean, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. McAdoo's excited, but I just gotta say, I know Day One and Crown Jewel aren't WrestleMania, but everything in WWE gets compared to like the Golden Attitude Era. Rock, Stone Cold. When The Rock and Stone Cold fought at a pay-per-view, and again, like they had 3 WrestleMania matches or whatever, it just felt like things changed so much between those WrestleMania matches to where they were in completely different spots. There had actually been storyline and development. I'm just struggling at this point to understand how Brock and Reigns has the legs for another 3 months or a road to WrestleMania. So with that said, McAdoo, why don't you start us off and tell us what's going to happen? Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar tonight. Then let's go Dwayne, Ernie, and across the top.
Gotcha.
So what's going to happen is Reigns is going to get a lot of finishing moves in. He's going to...
Oh, he is?
Oh, really?
Listen. He's going to dominate, and he's going to get frustrated to the point where he gets himself DQ'd and Lesnar wins by disqualification. I already see it. Something's going to happen where it's going to end up with a Lesnar win by DQ.
Sadly, that sounds like super accurate.
Oh, just wait till you hear my angle, McAdoo. You're gonna love it.
All right.
So that's
Dwayne-mania, what do you got?
For me, you mentioned you don't know how like these guys can do another 3 to 4 months of this. There is a way, and that his name is Paul Heyman, the guy who's really kind of built this storyline on his own. As long as Paul Heyman's involved, there's a way. I read an interesting quote from Paul Heyman, like from 1992, where, take a long story short, this guy predicted Stone Cold Steve Austin back in 1992 to be the very best of all time by the year 2000. And he was right. As long as Paul Heyman's involved, this is going to carry on for another 3 to 4 months, 100%. And it's going to be entertaining, in my opinion. But I do see, I tend to agree with McAdoo. Maybe not disqualification because he gets frustrated. I think that Paul Heyman somehow gets himself involved with this match, and it ends up with a Brock DQ.
Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced that Heyman is not still with Roman. Like, I could totally see him like coming back to Roman tonight and being a because that's Heyman's character. He's a POS. You know what I'm saying? The conniving POS.
He was always staring at the title.
He's always staring at the title. Exactly. He might win it. No, I'm just kidding. But so the thing that bothers me about WWE, like you can't have a heel champion always win. You can't have that happen. Like it just can't be the heel winning all the time because then there's no hope. You know what I'm saying? Like I had this stat. Ric Flair from 81 to 91 had the championship for 2,900 out of 3,650 days. Only 2 years total he did not be champion. But he lost it all the time. He lost it to Sting. He lost it to Dusty. He lost it to Kerry Von Erich. He lost it to Ronnie Garvin of all people. So even though he was a dominant person in the company, he lost once in a while. So at least gave you hope. You know what I'm saying? Well, if Ronnie Garvin beat him, well, Lex Luger can beat him. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or Magnum TA can beat him. You have to have that hope that the babyface can actually win. And right now, there's absolutely no hope that Roman Reigns is going to drop the belt as a heel. And that's killing the company. That has nothing to do with his talent or anything. It's just a really bad formula for success. Having said that, I think Lesnar wins tonight, but he doesn't win the belt. It's qualification, count out, something like that. I think Reigns keeps the belt tonight, but Lesnar wins.
I'm gonna always go against the tribal chief because no one should ever acknowledge him. No matter who he's facing, I'm always gonna go against it. There's no one protecting him from Brock Lesnar anymore. Brock Lesnar will get his hands on him tonight, and Brock Lesnar will be leaving that arena as the new Universal Champion.
Rob, I love your thinking there, but let me get this one started here. I have to acknowledge the head of the table. The Bunny last night put on one of the best performances in any women's match of 2021, to be completely honest. That match is in the top 3 with the Rosa Britt match, no matter what you think, and the Sasha Bianca match. McAdoo, I need you to watch that one back because the Bunny was incredible last night. I think you'll actually love that match. I will. It was honestly insane. Like, that's what we should be seeing from some of these women, but it's PG over here. I think Ernie's angle is pretty much correct, and I think it's going to be the Usos that are the ones that are going to end up getting involved, and the ref's going to catch them, and it's going to end up being a DQ that way. So the Usos are going to lose their tag titles. They're going to try and do something to get in Roman's good graces because they're so scared of their tribal chief, and they're going to mess up and get caught, and then they're going to run this back at WrestleMania.
Okay. So wait, you got do you have Lesnar or Reigns?
Lesnar, because they're going to get Reigns for a disqualification.
Gotcha, Lesnar. Okay, so we got a lot of Lesnar via DQ. I'm gonna go with Reigns winning outright via shenanigans. Like you guys said, some kind of Heyman nonsense. Brock should not be a guy that's distracted as he's turned around, but then maybe Reigns hits his 10 finishers like McAdoo predicted.
Maybe he brings his Brock box back.
The Brock box would be great. Can you imagine? My thinking for this is that WWE can never get enough of a good thing, right? When they have Raw or SmackDown invade Raw, they got to have Raw invade SmackDown like a couple weeks later. Like, they always love running back angles. And Lesnar in the Royal Rumble as the champion a couple years ago was amazing. Or I don't know if he was champion or whatever.
He was champion.
He was champion and in the Rumble. I forgot I did it. Okay. But that was amazing. Whether you were rooting for certain wrestlers that were coming out or not, but we talked about the pop earlier from when McIntyre eliminated him. And I could see them doing something similar with getting Lesnar in at 10 or 15 in the Royal Rumble and just having him run roughshod.
Yeah, and then Braun Breaker gets him out and wins.
Exactly. Or Reginald. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of development in Reginald's game lately.
Reggie.
Very excited. But hey,
Maniac, are you still drunk or?
Yeah, I am. But I love Reginald.
He's a Reginald simp.
I'm the biggest. Listen, I'm a simp for 2 wrestlers that don't deserve it: Reginald and the elite hunter Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, they botched that one a little bit.
They did.
We had a guy. I just had a guy walk across the front of my car. I think he's still celebrating New Year's. You could clearly stumbling, falling over, and he had the biggest stogie I've ever seen in my life, just puffing away in his mouth, and he fell over directly in front of my car. Got up.
Why didn't you flip your camera around? What the heck?
Yeah, why did you flip your camera? Come on.
Dude, you better have make sure you get your car in neutral. You don't want to end up like Rikishi.
No.
I did it for the Rock.
I did it for the people.
I will say this: Brock being more vocal over these last 3 months have been awesome. I think anything involving Brock Lesnar talking to the microphone is great. I think it's good for WWE, and that's why I kind of hope that this does. Heyman is still with the bloodline, because that just leads to more Brock being more part of the show. And this is the most he's talked in the last 3 months, probably in the last 5 years. It's insane. And I love it. I love every second of it. Grant, you probably wish he could be a little bit more colorful with his language, but it's been great. And I think I want more of that. And that's why I think you keep Paul with Roman, and then maybe a turn at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Hey,
It could, but there's one thing I think we got to mention though before the show wraps up. Daniel Garcia, IWTV, Independent Wrestler of the Year, a Buffalo kid from Grapplers Anonymous. Love to see that getting a big accolade out there in the world of
That's
wrestling.
awesome.
And not only that, but he was one of the kids that got in that accident, right? And he made the full
Yeah,
recovery.
he broke both of his legs less than 2 years ago, and has come back to be Independent Wrestler of the Year at just 22, 23 right now. So yeah, the future is. It's not even on the page. Like, he has the chance to go so far, because when you watch him, there's a lot of things you notice that are different than other wrestlers. He sells every single thing.
Yes. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
everything looks like he's trying to kill someone, or like he just got, actually getting beat up. Like, even the small little things, like he was getting put in the Three Amigos the other day, and during the Three Amigos, he's trying to throw some rib shots, trying to get some shots in, like to get Santana to break it up. It's the little things, and he's got all of it. He's got all those intangibles, and he's just learning so much now, being on TV and working with 2.0, how to be a little dickish heel, which I love.
You know who he reminds me a lot of in terms of just what you said, Ty? Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero, in his time, there was nobody better at selling than Eddie Guerrero, and Daniel Garcia reminds me a lot of Eddie.
Yeah, the attention to detail for all those, and it's always the people that had like the second generation, the third generation, like Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero, things like that. Like, I used to always love how Bret Hart would, when he get hurt, he'd go like this to get the circulation back in his body after he got like really hard. So it's just always the little things that make it still should be projected as a sport where people, you know what I'm saying, where
exactly.
But people like to discredit it and say it's fake.
Yeah, and I think it was Dax Harwood who tweeted about it. And he was like, someone comes up to me and asking me about it, and he's like, my entire shoulder is basically tore out, like my rotator cuff's torn, like it's all taped together just so I can work out. And you're coming up to me being like, yeah, it's still fake, right? And he's like, dude, like my arm is destroyed from this. Like, no, it's not all fake. Like, it's just not. It's impossible.
Austin broke his neck in the ring.
We
Austin
missed a match.
No, we didn't.
And then still,
we haven't done the main event yet, but it's okay. We're having a great discussion here.
What? That wasn't the main event?
Well, that was going to be my next point. Does anyone think that this is going to be the main event over that because of the wild card nature of this match?
Oh,
the WWE Championship.
We have 2 more matches.
We have 2 more?
The Intercontinental.
That's happening too?
I just saw it on their Twitter.
Oh, it just came on Twitter. Okay, because I checked the Wikipedia 80 minutes ago, and there was no Intercontinental match.
Yeah, me neither. I was
okay.
So it wouldn't surprise me if one of these other matches gets booked out or something, like someone tests positive, even though they're not like testing anymore. Someone might have been smart enough to self-report, like Carson Wentz.
No, they're all still listed.
Because didn't I read that like in the dirt sheets that there was some frustration on the
they're not
testing protocols for
yeah. And think about Roman with all his health issues. Like, obviously he's going to be one of the ones that is frustrated about it. So I don't know. That's I don't think that was very smart. And
Rob, where do you see this?
Yeah, Rob, where do we got this match? I don't see it anywhere.
The WWE on Fox tweeted it.
Oh, that is pretty official.
I didn't even know there was a WWE on Fox account, so that shows you how much I'm.
It's kind of like if someone in WWE wanted to meme a lot and kind of like poke fun at WWE. That's kind of like
from the Fox account. Yeah, it's like from Fox to help promote WWE on their platform. So it's mostly all the Fox stuff. Like, they're just fucking around. Like, they don't give a shit about the WWE storylines and stuff. It's kind of like they have the same thing with the AEW and TNT one, which it ends up having some funny stuff on there every once in a while. I don't even follow it, and it just pops up, and I'm just like,
all right, I still don't see it. So, Rob, who's in this match?
It's Shinsuke versus Sami Zayn.
Shinsuke versus Sami Zayn. So this is a great throwback to Shinsuke's first match, WrestleMania. Ernie, were you there?
I was not at that Takeover Dallas. No, I was not. I was not there. I've only been to like 3 or 4 Takeover shows, and that was not one of them.
Okay, because obviously anyone who watched
that, Dwayne, meet yourself. You're driving.
Yeah,
I
Dwayne,
can hear
what
you
is
driving.
Going on here?
Thank you.
Okay, we got that. Got to make sure Dwayne's being safe. But hey, speaking of being safe, let's hope that it's the King of Strong style going against Sami Zayn, because when Shinsuke busts out that motif.
Oh wait, it's been deleted. It's been deleted.
Damn you, Rob, starting rumors and then getting rid of it. Okay. Well, anyways, without further ado, WWE Championship match, Big E versus Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley. I will say that right now, WWE making this a fatal four-way is giving them the leverage if they want to move the belts onto an Owens or if they want to move it onto a Rollins. I can't see them putting it back on Lashley just based on his trajectory. He's still kind of becoming a face, and he's kind of switching there. But with that said, let's go around the horn. We got Ty B first here. What do you see happening in this WWE Championship match?
First off, I love Seth Rollins. I think it was recently in an interview saying like I'm like the Joker in a midlife crisis, and in terms of his outfits, which I love them. Like, yeah, that makes it a shit ton of sense. Like the Joker would just be buying the most outlandish stuff. I like that because his character is also sort of going through that little psychotic break. Like almost he's manic all the time, like back and forth on everything, which I think is great. But this match as a whole, I don't know where it's going. Like I said, I haven't been paying much attention, but it feels like a shame to take it off Big E at this point. This could be a spot where you really can make him as a champion and solidify this run by putting him over all three of these big names here, giving him big moments against each of them in the match, so that it really feels like he beats all of them, and it's not just he ends up pulling it out at the end or some stupid thing like that. You have a great opportunity here to really, really solidify Big E, make him a full-fledged star and champion in this company. He's done everything out of the ring to do that, making a ton of appearances all over the place and really succeeding in all of them. So I think you got to keep the title on Big E here.
Yeah, this one's it's like Ernie was saying earlier, this could be one that they could just keep going with pay-per-view after pay-per-view just because of the talent that's in this match. Yeah. So I don't think to keep this going, you could change titles to say a Seth. But I'm gonna say it stays on Big E, and we're gonna get a full. We're gonna see the full New Day as champions, even though they're on different shows. We're gonna see the New Day have the titles. Tag team, and we'll see Big E keep his WWE Championship.
I am going to reluctantly agree with you because I agree with both of you. That's what should happen, which means that WWE will do something completely stupid on the other side.
Here comes Ernie Green.
I am going to say Big E. Big E. I've said this on other shows. He is so engaging, and when he announced Tyson Fury and
incredible
Deontay Wilder with Super Bowl style, the
whole crowd amped up.
The whole crowd ate it up, and he was there. He was actually there in the crowd,
yep.
And I have friends who got pictures with him. He's such an engaging person. He's a good wrestler, especially for his size, and I really think they could build a lot of stuff around him. So I hope they don't screw it up. But I reluctantly make the pick that he's going to win, but I'm not hopeful.
Look, this should absolutely be the match of the night. I think
100%.
Yeah,
1,000,000%.
This one needs to at least go a half hour. And if it doesn't, we riot.
Give me 60.
I would have no problem with seeing you got Big E and Rollins wrestling through the crowd, and then you got Lashley and Kevin Owens in the back on top of a production truck or something. Let's go crazy this. Because I right now, guys, I'm looking at the rest of this card. I'm seeing kind of mayonnaise. And I hate to say this if you love mayonnaise, but it's kind of bland, kind of just baloney. Honestly, I'm seeing, and it's reflected in our picks. There are 4 to 5 matches where we swept straight across the board, basically. So with that said, this WWE Championship match absolutely needs to deliver. So let's hope they make the most of it.
Yeah. Now with this pick, I'm probably going with my heart over my head, but.
We already knew he had it on. I knew he had it on.
Where the hell did they go? The age of Rollins is back, baby. Seth Rollins gets his title back as I look for.
What's the F for?
Did he just go Lee Corso on us?
Where's the mascot head,
baby?
Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Freaking.
Yeah, freaking, exactly. This is a PG show for a PG pay-per-view.
Probably no blood either, unfortunately.
All right, Dwayne, are you making a right turn and picking Bobby Lashley here?
Yeah, no. I'm going to stick with Big E just because I think that it's too short of a title run for a guy like him. I think he's just that great of an athlete. He's that great of a performer, and I just don't see this just being a couple month run. I see them going really long with Big E. I see maybe even potentially, because we kind of alluded to maybe an Xavier Woods push earlier. Maybe this extends into a situation where maybe you get him and Xavier facing off at some point, which would be pretty cool. I don't know how they would make that happen, but I would like to see it.
Well, the draft's coming up after WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, you would assume, or maybe it's a Royal Rumble thing. Maybe Xavier gets his push, he wins the Royal Rumble.
I was just gonna say, wow, okay, because I am gonna say I love all the competitors in this match. I like Big E to win because I think that he hasn't had a long enough reign based on what WWE wants. I think that they're confident in what he can do, and that they haven't even really scratched the surface of what he could offer as a champion yet. With that said, if you look at him on the trajectory of a road to WrestleMania, who do you give as a potential Big E WrestleMania opponent as we kind of wind things down here on Wrestling with Motion? I was trying to think. It's very difficult to come up with an opponent that, matches that stage.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to build out a feud out of some of those three guys somehow that are in that fatal four-way. If not, I don't know what you're doing.
Seth. I would definitely say Seth. If my bold prediction of Xavier Woods doesn't happen, I could definitely be in Seth. I personally, another reason why I pick Big E is because I kind of like this really awkward alliance that Seth and Kevin Owens have had, and I want to see that continue because I think those two guys together is absolutely dynamite, and I just want to see that continue on, them plotting to try and find a way to get the title off Big E. So that's another reason why I picked Big E.
Ernie, any idea on who a Big E WrestleMania opponent could be?
Well, any one of these three in the match would work. I do think that Seth and Kevin are heading toward a WrestleMania match themselves. I think their plots are gonna, they're gonna fall asunder. Their plots aren't gonna work, and then they're gonna get mad at each other, and that's gonna turn into a WrestleMania match. Who I would love to see would be Big E against Drew, and they could actually rehype Drew. I'm not sure.
Drew's
if
on
they have
SmackDown now, right?
If you win the Rumble, you can play anybody.
Oh,
yeah.
that is true.
Yeah,
If you win the Rumble, I could also see it being Randy Orton. To be honest with you, if Orton wins the Rumble like they're talking about, there's a lot of choices. I'm not sure if they're choices that I like or I prefer, but I would like to see Big E at WrestleMania either against Seth or Kevin. That'd be awesome. I think those would be two fantastic matches. Even Bobby Lashley's been fine too. So anybody in this match, I'd be okay with him wrestling WrestleMania against.
Agree. I think Big E takes this match. I think that Lashley absolutely destroys Rollins at one point, but I do think Big E retains. Gents, any final thoughts here on our Wrestling with Emotion Day 1 of 2022 podcast?
Oh, yeah. I mean, GCW Die for this going to be great later as well. If you're looking for some actual wrestling, you got Alex Colon defending his GCW Ultra Violent Championship versus John Wayne Murdoch. Basically, the two craziest MFers in the world right now in deathmatch wrestling, going one-on-one in that one. We're going to see Tracy Williams versus Calvin Tankman. Calvin Tankman's making a huge name for himself as a big man, who I don't know how Shane Mercer, picked him up with one arm last night, even pulled the arm away and just was still balancing him on his shoulders. Shane Mercer's a freak. Shane Mercer needs to be signed somewhere. He needs to be tossing Hook 20 rows into the crowd because the fans would love that. Shane Mercer does it on a regular basis with guys like Ninja Mac, who also we're going to see in the Do or Die Rumble they got going for their number one contender spot, which is going to be absolutely insane because all their scramble matches are always nuts. If you're doing a full Rumble with their roster, it's going to be insane. And obviously my favorite, Effie, State of the Effie address. Effie is fine. Don't worry. Effie is fine.
Effie is fine. And huge shout out to our fine panel, Dwayne O'Mania, McAdoo, Ernie
Hold
Green,
on. One last shout out.
Tybee.
Effie, good friends with our boy Megabyte Ronnie. So super shout out to Effie for being a great person and a great wrestler.
Megabyte Ronnie's his bookings in Nickel City Wrestling this year, so it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. We'll see if we can get in his entrance in his Bill's Mafia SCF. Hook would never let him. That's fair. I'm very excited to see what we see from Hook in 2022. There's a lot of hype there.
He's an exciting kid to watch. He's exciting to watch.
After Rose, and hey, we're hoping that you think that Wrestling with Emotion is an exciting watch, whether it's Twitch, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot about this. Scotty 2 Hotty is back tonight as well after like 6 years. Scotty 2 Hotty versus Joey Janela tonight. Holy shit, I'm excited for this one. Scotty 2 Hotty and Too Cool, like all that was, and Rikishi, like that was one of my favorite acts growing up. So being able to see him in the ring again, I'm super excited for that.
I can't even put odds on whether a worm will occur. I got to put odds on how many worms will occur.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put over 1.5, honestly, because you can't get enough when it's guys trying. You want to talk about kayfabe? When they would just start dancing in the middle of a match, that was the best. But hey, we hope again that you're having the best time. What do we got, McAdoo?
R.I.P. Grandmaster Sexy.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Grandmaster
Sexy.
Sexy. Okay, but hey, shout out to all you sexy people. Dwayne O'Mania, McAdoo, Ernie Green, Rob Ryan, Ty B. Keeping it real here on Wrestling with Emotion podcast. Make sure you're following along because it's not wrestling with your budget. It's not wrestling with your conscience. It's wrestling with